Hey folks, welcome back, another Palentines video. So yeah, today we're gonna talk about well, it's basically the you know, I guess unit guide videos that we usually do, except this time we're gonna just jumble them all together, right? We'll throw them in two parts, I guess, so it's not like too many units in one. Although I don't know, depending on I guess feedback, we could probably just throw them all in one in like the next update, right? Just there's like too many units to talk about. But anyways, I'll timestamp them all below, right? So you can just skip to whichever unit that you want to check out, right? So for this video, we're actually just going to talk about the new summonable ones, being, you know, Vanilluxe, Mawile, Darkrai, and Cresselia, right? And then we maybe do another video on Arc-9, Aurora's Clawitzer, and Machamp later on, right? Alright, so to start, let's just go in release order. First one, Mawile, right? So, Palentines Marnie and Mawile, she's, obviously you guys know what she does, right? You mega her, get extra physical attack and physical defense, right? And then when you mega these entry passives, like the -2 attack, -2 defense on the team, on the opponent's team, trigger again. So if you sync with her, which by the way, she is the second highest sync nuker, right? Could potentially be the highest in the whole game, right? If you're just counting like first sync cycle syncs, right? So like, there's no point not sync with her. People keep on saying, oh, she's not that good because to trigger this twice, you have to sync with her. Okay, she's the top sync nuker in the game. Why do you not want to sync with her, right? And then Team Sharp entry to give your whole team crit. Again, also triggers again after you sync. You get Mega Mawile out there, right? Your basic moveset, you got Growl, which debuffs attack, obviously. Steel Wish gives you Steel Zone. Iron Head that could flinch, 30% chance of flinching, and then your training move Shadow Out gives you +2 attack and then +1 defense, special defense. And then your sync move turns you into Mega Mawile and then has the increase when there is Steel Zone, right? That's the innate multiplier. I guess some downsides is her speed's not the best, right? But in terms of upsides, she does a lot of damage, right? A lot of damage on top of the, you know, really good, consistent flinch rates, debuff the opponent's again defenses, physical attack, and buff your teams. Crit, right? In terms of what lucky skills you want on her, I mean, generally it's just still Crit Strike 2 because she is mainly a damage healer, right? Again, she's one of the, you know, much better damage healers in the game. She's not just a zone setter, right? Her damage is like nuts, right? Like I don't know why people think she's a bad damage healer. She's one of the best. Like, what are you guys doing? All right, like number 2 sync in the game, and then her Iron Head damage also pretty solid as well, right? So, anyways, let's get into, I guess, some other stuff, right? So in terms of lucky skill, again, it's just Crit Strike 2. Nothing too serious. Again, in general, I find Crit Strike 2 just straight up better than in most case scenarios than the Superpower 3 and Weather Warrior 3, right? I mean, well, obviously you don't want to, we're generally not running Weather with her. I mean, not always, because there are some scenarios where you actually would run Weather with her. Is if you're running her with Raihan and Ingo, right, then obviously you'd have Weather there. But again, it's just, Chris actually is just more general, right? You could do off type, you could do it outside of Weather, and it's just a flat 20% buff, right, as long as you crit. So yeah, I don't really feel there's any like niche picks that you want to go with her, unless you want to do something like sharp entry, so you straight up don't need to bring a support for her at all, right? Or at least well, yeah, support at all. You could like fierce entry, but like outside of that, there's nothing, you know, nothing too interestingly, right? Otherwise, so all right, let's talk about grid. At 1 out of 5, you don't really have too much, right? Just have the Iron Head power-ups. Just pick up the Iron Head power-ups, right? I guess if you want speed over here, might be a bit better. Or you can just do that. If you don't want to spend orbs, you could do something like this. The MP refresh could max out your physical attack if you want, but I'd rather not, right? Don't want to spend another turn. Just bring another support, honestly. All right, at 2 out of 5. You do have some sync move power up nodes, right? Again, it really depends on if you're syncing with her or not. So you have power posture over here, which could, you know, that's an extra 30%. for your damage. So I guess no point not picking it up, right? You could do Super Sinker. It gives you 1 super effective up hit after your sing, which is not that much, so I don't really care that much. But you definitely want Iron Head Aggravation and Move Gauge Refresh over here. Again, if you are also Metallic Acceleration, you could also pick up Critical Eye here, so you could also, you know, max out your crit without another support, right? So that I guess could be nice, but if you are bringing another support, then obviously no point doing that. You could just pick up these 2 Synchro power-up nodes, and yeah, it's generally, you know, pretty solid for Toto 5. If you're not syncing with her, then again, just something like Critical Eye, so you don't have to bring another, or just some Iron Head power-ups, right? But she's like one of the strongest syncers in the game, so why not sync with her, right? Anyways, let's see. At 3 out of 5, there's a few options. If you're hitting super effective, you have Iron Head super effective 3 over here, which you also get through aggravation here as well. Come here, pick up Pecking Order again if you are syncing with her. Metallic Surge as well, right? To further boost that sync move damage. MP Refresh on Seal Wish if you need it. If it's a longer stage, you kind of want MP Refresh generally, right? If it's a short stage, then maybe you don't need it, and then you go for something else, maybe a Acceleration just for the speed. So like usually match mode, I go like maybe Acceleration, and if it's like a Legendary Gauntlet or something, go for the MP Refresh on Seal Wish, right? I think that'd be a bit better. In terms of anything else, if you're not picking up either, I wouldn't really do that. You should probably pick one of these because they're really good, right? But if not picking up either, I guess you could go for a Sync Move power-up node, and then try for 2 more, I guess, power-ups over here with Iron Head or whatever. But yeah. If you aren't syncing with Marnie, just running her as like a pure Steel Zone support, which can don't, but you know, I guess I can't tell everyone what to do. It's just suggestions anyways, right? So you could do Enfeeble, so you get -6 defense on your opponent, right? If you're supporting like a physical steel unit on your team. Acceleration, MP Refresh over here, Move Gauge Refresh over here, right? And maybe Iron Head power up, and then you're good, right? So anyways, moving on to some team comps with Marnie. There's a lot of things that you could run with her, right? It's just, you just look, right? You just filter your units by steel type, and then you could run any of these, right? Obviously, in my opinion, the strongest one is Bisharp. This is one of the strongest duos in the game, in my opinion, right, at least. So you run Grimsley Bisharp with Marnie over here, and then you throw in Sonya Yamper as the support, obviously best physical support in the game. And boom, you got a lot of really great stuff going in here, right? You have, again, the defense debuffs on Marnie for Grimsley's Insult to Injury. You could also have the Iron Head 60% chance flinch for Grimsley's Harry 3. And then the Steel Zone Metal Burst has the potential to be the #1 strongest hitting regular move in the entire game, right? And then obviously all the other great stuff that they do for each other. Both of them could, again, debuff the opponent's physical defense, and they're both physical units. Get the steel stuff going, right? Again, all these other units are good. Duraludon, if you're doing Duraludon, right, you could throw in also Sonya also debuffs opponent's physical defense as well, right? If you're doing Duraludon, you probably want Ingo over here, right? Then you could pick up the Duraludon's sand stuff. That's also very powerful of an option. If you want, you could also have Zamazenta to be like a support / damage dealer in there, and like you could run like a triple damage dealer. The thing with running Zamazenta is the speed, right? So you definitely want a damage dealer that could give you some like that isn't like terrible on speed, right? So like maybe like a Zacian, I guess, although it's still gonna be very tough. You will have to rely on in terms of Zamazenta, the passive, the free whatever what's it called again, the revenge, free revenge, right? To actually get some beam bashes in there. Otherwise you'd probably be spamming Middle Claw mostly, right? You could run something like that. Again, a lot of options here. A lot of options down the line. Just all these units. It's the types that you could get in here, right? So Galeo you could do, Metagross you could obviously do as well, right? Steelix has a pretty nasty Gyro Ball. So yeah, a lot of options there. So anyways, so that's Mawile, and let's move on to the next one here. All right, as for Vanilluxe over here, right, this is the next one to talk about. So it's a support that does a lot of things, right? You have well, the HP's not that good, but you have really decent defenses over here, right? Especially once you also have the passive Hail and Hardy to increase these defenses by an extra 30% while you're in Hailstorm, right? So that's definitely really nice. And you enter the battle with Hailstorm, right? And there's no shelter, so you don't get damaged by that. And then you have Astonish, which is one of the best flinching moves in the game, right? Because 1 gauge, 30%, very, very good. You have Potion to heal your team. You have Icicle Spare to do absolutely nothing. And then your trainer move, Let's Share, which gives attack, special attack +4 for your team, and then gives physical move up next by 1 in Hailstorm. Unfortunately, only 1 MP, right? So you can't really max out attack, special attack on this alone, right, for your whole team. Or at least get +6. I mean, you can max out if someone else, you know, on if your damage dealer on your team already has like +2 at least, right? But the thing that kind of sucks is you can't get more than 1 physical moves without an MP refresh, which again is very, very unlikely with it being 1 out of 1 and only, I think, MP refresh 2, right, or something. Yeah. So, anyways, it's just a pretty, you know, nice attack, special attack buffing support that could actually take a few hits, right? That has potions and then could also flinch the opponent at a pretty solid rate, right? So in terms of Lucky Cookie, you could still go Vigilance, even though you do have Vigilance in the grid, but it is like 3 out of 5, first of all. And also if you do run Vigilance as your lucky skill, you don't have to pick Vigilance up over here, so you could spend your energy elsewhere, because this is a very, very expensive grid, right? So using Vigilance on Vanilluxe is actually pretty valid, right? Even though, again, she does have Vigilance on the grid, right? So I think that's fine. In terms of like any other skills, I guess if you do want to pick up Vigilance in the grid, you could do something like, you know, the infliction immunity or status immunity, right? That's, I guess, nice for a tank as well. But anyways, or move gauge refresh maybe just for the speed or gauge. But yeah, outside that, let's get into the rest of this. So in terms of grid, right? At 105, you honestly you straight up have like nothing. This is just absolute wasteland. You could pick up some defensive nodes, some speed, helps you, you know, stay alive, I guess. But like outside of that, no, all this other stuff is just straight up trash. All right, 2 out of 5. You have a few great things here. First of all, you have Astonish Aggravation, right? So it turns your you know, 30% flinch, 6% flinch, which is very, very good. You also have Hasty Hail here, which you know, better gauges in Hailstorm, which again you do bring, right? You do have the MP refresh on your training move, which unfortunately only MP refresh 2 for a 1 base MP move, and also costs you 10 energy. But on the other hand, you don't really have that much else to pick up in 2 out of 5, so why not, right? Why not? You pick that up. Again, if you do need unbending, some stages do debuff your defense, some do debuff special defense, and you go for those instead, right? Again, just depending on the stage, these are all stage dependent. And if you really, really need the gauges, then you come down here and get Hasty Hail 3, which again is pretty expensive, so maybe you just want to take the L over there and not pick up the MP refresh. Flag Bearer 2, I don't really care. Like, it's 30% for +1 attack for your team. It's like, just bring someone who can max out, you know, their own attack, right? Or at least have +2 to max finish maxing it out. All right, 3 out of 5 is where things go a bit crazy, because again, you have a lot of very, very, very nice things on your grid, but you just don't have that much energy. You have like Move Gauge Refresh 9 on Astonish, Snow Sentinel 9, which is nice. Team Sharp Entry is nice, right? Got both MPRs on Potion, Massive Healer, Hailbringer, Hail on Sync, right? It is just it's so many great things on the grid. It's just so expensive, which is sad, right? Vigilance as well, obviously. Again, if you don't pick up Vigilance in the grid, You don't have to do it. It just, like, her grid really depends on what you're trying to do, right? If you're running like a full hail team, you could definitely do something like a hail bringer, healing hail, maybe hasty hail, right? Again, running her. You don't have to run her in hail, by the way, right? She's totally like fine without running in hail, and you do like snow sentinel, right? Helps your help you stay alive a bit better, and then you could use the rest on some other random stuff, stat nodes or whatever, right? But yeah, you could do something like this on a full hail team, right? You could maybe drop that and pick up like an extra mass heal, although I don't really like that. Healing hail, I like it more than master healer, honestly. What else do we have? Snow Sentinel, by the way, +1 defense, special defense every time you use a move in Hailstorm, which is very nice, right? Especially you get unlimited hail, right, from sinking, so that's really nice. What else? Again, if you need crit buffs, right, for your team, then you go for the sharp entry over here. You go for the MP refresh, but it does cost you 5 more energy, so it really depends on the rest of your grid, right? Again, a lot of just really super dependent on what else you're running and stuff, right? So, like, you could do like something like this, unbending, MP refresh on astonish, aggravation, right? Team sharp entry if you need that extra bit of crit, and then you'll have a 5, left over, which you can't really, use on anything else. But if you don't want Snow Sentinel, you could do MP refresh over here. You could pick up Vigilance maybe, and then you have your lucky skill set to something else. If you want the potions, you could definitely do that as well, right? If you're just running it as a very like defensive sort of unit. Oh my god, you can't afford all of these. That's so sad. Alright, maybe drop 1 master healer, right? And then you can't finish this there either. But yeah, something like this, maybe like a stalwart or whatever. Right, again, just really depends on what you're trying to run on your team, right? I wouldn't really go for the Snow Sentinel if you don't have like another hail unit, right? Or if you can't pick up Hailbringer, but yeah, it really depends. In terms of team comps, you could run her with a lot of hail units, and you could run her with just almost any physical damage healer. She's better when used for physical damage heals, although you don't have to, because I mean it's only 1, but like this is really good though. It's like an extra 40% damage increase, right? So that's, I mean, like, why not, right? So yeah, there's that, I guess. So that's Palentines Bea and Vanilluxe. Moving on to Singsuit Darkrai. Oh, Singsuit Darkrai. Singsuit Cyrus and Darkrai over here. Right, so this guy does a lot of different things, and that's honestly a bit of a downside. Like, not that anything he does is bad, everything he does is good, right? Dark Void, which AoE, right, sleep on the opponent, that's obviously fantastic. Dark Witch is fantastic, gives you Dark Zone. Dark Pulse is very powerful, right? Also has a chance to flinch as well, and then you have Perpetual Nightmare, which is your training move. Buffs your special attack by 2, crit by 1. Sync Snooze, after you sync, you put the opponents to sleep automatically. Bad Break 9. When you use a status move, it debuffs the opponent's one of these by random. I honestly hate this. This is like so bad. Like, it only lowers 1 stat of your opponent by like 1 rank. So it's like, and like it's every time you use a status move. So it's every time you either use a Dark Wish or like Dark Void, and it's like okay. And I have Shaded Nightmare, which does deal damage to all opposing sync pairs when the user's Pokemon uses a move, and this additional damage on effect by some status changes. So far what we know about this is this. It's like we don't have the exact BP, but it should be like around a 20. It's like a 20 BP move that I think is influenced by how many copies you have, right? Of the sync move level. And it's a dark type move. It's special, right? It's obviously when your Pokemon uses moves, so it could trigger when it's Dark Void. When you're using Dark Void, it could trigger when you use Dark Pulse. It gets influenced by all the regular move multipliers, right? So stuff like super effective, right? It influences the damage because it is a dark type. It's a special move. Gets influenced by obviously crit, by your special attack buffs, by any other, I guess, multipliers. Umbreal Power 3, right? Stuff like that. If you have Crit Strike 2 on him, Crit Strike 2 as well, right? It gets influenced by all that stuff. Dark Zone, etc., right? Opponent's special defense debuffs. So, yeah, it's an AoE. I guess, what, around 20 BP or so move, right? That just does damage to the entire team. And, yeah. So, that are asleep, obviously. So yeah, that's that, I guess, right? It follows all the AoE rules, right? If the opponent, it's single target, does more damage against single targets, like the split AoE damage still applies here as well, right? So, anyways, moving on. So in terms of lucky skills, I'd say just generally Crit Strike 2, just for him to do some more damage. He is a solid Sync Nuker. He's not the best Dark type. I think he's like number 3 in terms of Dark type Sync Nukers. You do have Sydney and Master Royale that definitely do nuke harder than him. But he, you know, has a solid Sync Nuke, so, you know, Crit Strike could help there. Obviously, it helps the extra damage that you get from Dark Pulse as well, right? But in terms of like anything else that you could maybe run on him instead, you can do Troublemaker. I'm not a huge fan of Troublemaker just because you already have accuracy buffs on your training move anyways, which you're going to use just to buff your offensive stats. I don't really like anything else on him, so yeah, Crit Strike 2 should generally be fine. Anyways, in terms of the grid, right, we have 1 out of 5, absolutely nothing, right? So just pick up some special attack nodes here and there. Dark Wish, Move Gauge Refresh, I guess. Again, you don't have anything else, so sure. Pick up the speed over here, speed, and then you're basically good, right? If you, again, don't want to spend too many orbs. All right, at 2 out of 5, you have a few nice things. You have Umbral Acceleration, which is nice. Dark Pulse Aggravation is nice. Fast Track 4 and Dark Void is decent too, I guess. Dark Void Move Gauge Refresh, like, okay, I guess. Perpetual Nightmare MP Refresh if you don't want like another special buffer on your team. Or Grand Entry. Okay, I guess if you're at like 2 out of 5, if you want to give him like Sharp Entry, and then you pick up Grand Entry so you can like max out your stats without any force, I guess you could do that. But anyways, you have a special attack plus 20 over here into Umbral Acceleration 2, gives you a Move Gauge Refresh, or not Move Acceleration and Dark Zone. Over here you have Dark Pulse with Dark Pulse Aggravation. I guess you could do Dark Void Fast Track if you really want, right? And then just some other Dark Pulse power up nodes should be fine, right? For your 2 out of 5. Honestly, you don't have too many options at 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5 is where you have most of your options. Again, depends on what you want to do. If you do want to sync, do you want to sleep with him a lot, or do you... That sounds weird. If you do want to use sleep with him a lot, or do you not want to use sleep with him? Because his damage without sleep is still very, very decent, but his damage with sleep obviously goes through the roof. But the downside of that is you have to sleep the opponent a lot, which again is not really a downside because having the opponents asleep where they can't attack you is pretty good in of itself, right? So again, there's a lot of let's first talk about like a sync nuke. If you do want to go for like a sync nuke, right? Go up here for power play, which you do need to lower the opponent's stats to get obviously more and more damage, right? You come up here, pick up the Dark Pulse, or not your Dark Pulse, the Sync Move Power Up node. You could also come over here to pick it up, right? With the extra Dark Wish instead of Good Nightmare on Dark Pulse. It really depends on what you want. You have Bad Break over here as well. Gives you extra chance of debuffing for power play. Although honestly, if you're going for first thing, you probably won't really get it. Super Preparation if it's like super effective, so you get like a super effective up boosted sync nuke. If you're just going for like one nuke just to take out someone in the mid and like master mode or something, right? But again, there's just so many better dark type sync nukers. I really wouldn't really just go with them, right? So in terms of damage dealer, you got Crit Strike over here, Good Nightmare over here, another Good Nightmare 5 over here. Unfortunately, you don't have enough to also pick up Umbral Power 3, but these are the better ones. This is 50%, 50%, 20% versus if you drop one of these, you're just, you know, 70% plus extra 30% over here, right? But again, on the other flip side, this does require you to always sleep the opponent. Plus, you do have an extra 20 attack over here, which is not bad in of itself, right? But, you know, damage-wise, you want that. Super Preparation here as well if you are hitting super effective. If not, then maybe something else. You could pick up a Dark Pulse Aggravation, which is really, really nice as well, right? If you want a bit more of a balanced approach, not just full, like, offensive, because, again, his Dark Pulse is very, very powerful, right? If you hit them when they're asleep, you do something like Umbra Power over here, Dark Witch MPR, Umbreal Acceleration, more of a support-ish Darkrai, right? And then you can still come down here and pick up the Crit Strike or Aggravation if you're more trying to use them as a support disruptor rather than just a damage healer, right? So you can definitely do that as well. So yeah, it really just depends. So alright, let's talk about some team comps, I guess. Obviously, as usual, you want to run him with like any other dark type, and especially him, because like in comparison to all the other zone users, like the other zone users, they are relatively good damage wise, right? You don't, because like they're all really, really great damage healers. The thing with Darkrai is, even though his damage cap is very, very high, right? He does like I think a bit less than Lucas at max with the sleep, but then again, you do need all that sleep stuff, and that does make it so that you have to Dark Zone, Sleep, Dark Pulse, and then by the time you get one Dark Pulse in, your Dark Zone's about to go, the opponent probably woke up, you have to either Sleep again or Dark Zone again, so you actually don't really get too much damage in, so you do have to kind of rely on your teammates to sustain a more respectable amount of damage for your team, right? So again, a lot of options here that are really, really nice. Houndoom, you could actually, you know, help with Houndoom's multipliers, right? With foul fighting and dirty fighting, because again, you could flinch, you could also sleep, right? So there's that. Absol, again, one of the, you know, top, I guess the second strongest dark type sync nuker, right? Again, he doesn't do any solid DPS, but, you know, with the extra Dark Zone, it helps his rather terrible DPS a bit, makes it a bit better. The thing with Absol over something like Incineroar is just Absol sets up a bit easier. Incineroar does have a longer setup process, but Incineroar, you know, you could also help with a Darkrai. You have a very small chance of also debuffing the opponent's physical attack to get the where's a pecking order nuke on on your Incineroar, right, as well, right? So you could run Incineroar as a nuker, or Incineroar who could do a bit more respectable damage on Darkest Lariat. Mightyena as a solid nuke over here. You could also make him make it take itself out a bit faster with Double Edge if you want, right? What else? The Karen Umbreon here, same thing, right? As you would in general with Mightyena. Mightyena also has the EX Striker Haymaker nuke as well, right? And then there's also a few others that aren't dark type that are also pretty good as well. The best dark type DPS, right? Outside of, or I guess the more, outside of just, you know, Sleep, Darkrai, right, would be more Pekko, right? Power Trip is one of the most, like, busted moves, just because, not because it's, like, the strongest, I think it's still, like, top 10 normal move damage, right? Power Trip, but it's, like, yeah, on top of that, it's like a 2-gauge move, right? So it's very, very spammable there as well, so more Pekko could be nice. Something like, a Dreadnought over here would also be nice, right? With Jaw Lock, you could definitely use some solid damage. And then the other Marnie as well, right? Where is it? Where's the other Marnie? Grimmsnarl could give you some solid crunch damage. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of options that you could go with dark types with the Dark Zone, right? So yeah, there's that, I guess. All right, moving on to Singsu Dawn and Cresselia over here, right? So Singsu Dawn and Cresselia is well, it's a support, it's a tank, right? It's a very, very nice tank, I'd say. Decent amount of HP, good defenses, right? We got a 1-gauge spam with Confusion, which is nice. Moonlight that could heal your own HP, right? 60% in Sun, 40% in Rain, Hail, Sand, and then 50% just normally, right? And then only 2 uses, but does also cost you 2 gauges every time you use it. It's only for yourself, right? And then you have Moonblast, which is whatever. And then you have your trainer moves, Sweet Dreams, which you take 30% of your maximum HP, but buffs your team's defense, special defense, and crit rate by 2, so those are definitely nice buffs. And if you're on, oh my god, well the, you know, taking this damage kind of sucks. Well, not really. I mean, it does suck a bit, but it also works with your team brainstorm, right? And it gives a special move up next for your whole team when you use a status move under 50% HP, right? So you could use Sweet Dreams twice, and or when your Pokemon use status move, right? Sweet Dreams twice, you're at 40% of your HP, right? Even less if the opponent attacks you. That's like the slight risk there if you get like taken out when you're, you know, only at 40% HP. But then, you know, what you generally want to do is double Sweet Dreams over here, and then you Moonlight, heal yourself up. So you're at only what, minus 10% HP done to yourself, right? And then you have you know, special moves up for your whole team, and then you know, if you go down to half HP again, you do that again, and then boom, you have another special move ups for your team, right? So even though it does look like it's mostly a defensive crit support, it is actually a special support, right? And yeah, I also have Sync Damage Guard, which gives you damage guard, gives you a free damage guard after you sync, right? So that's also nice, I guess. Fortify 3, when your HP is under half, it increases your defense and special defense by 30%, right? Just to keep you alive, right? So you don't want to, again, just get caught off guard by a Sweet Dreams twice in here, right? So yeah, she's a really, really good tank. In terms of lucky skills, I'd say she's probably Vigilance, right, as a tank. Because you already buff your team's defense, special defense over here, right? So let's get into the grid. So for the grid, at 1 out of 5, you actually do have something slightly interesting, which is Confusion, Aggravation. And it's only slightly interesting because it's not that good. It's something, I guess, right? You could pick up some speed nodes. Well, it's just some of these stat nodes. I guess you have to pick them all up, right? If you want. Move Blast, Move Gauge Refresh if you really want. Because, I mean, I guess it does have, what, a 30% chance of debuffing the opponent's special attack by 1, which is cool, I guess. If you have the gauges, you can throw in a Moon Blast, right? But if you don't, obviously you want to just spam Confusion. At 2 out of 5, let's see, what do we have? We have a Move Gauge Refresh for Confusion, which is nice. Move Gauge Refresh for Moonlight, which I'm not a huge fan of, just because you don't use Moonlight too much. There's only like 2 uses, and you're gonna, what, spend 7 energy on that? Never a huge fan of that. Honor Roll on Moonblast, Crisis Countdown 9. What else? Sweet Dreams MP Refresh, right? So, honestly, 2 out of 5, that kind of sucks. There's really not that much. Maybe Confusion Aggravation here still. Confusion, Move Gauge Refresh. You have like 2 HP plus 20 nodes if you really want. That's actually kind of nice, I guess. You could do the MP Refresh on Sweet Dreams just to max out your team's defense, special defense. But again, do keep in mind, you do take an extra 30% over there. But again, it gets you closer to Moonlight, so you could heal that up anyways, right? And, oh, I forgot to mention the most important thing about her. Well, I wouldn't say most important thing, but, you know, one of the more important things about her, which is her Sync move, which heals up your entire team HP by 20%. The higher the move level, the more it is. Each move level gives you extra 5%, so that caps out at what? 40%, right? I don't know. Oh, yeah, it says over here, maximum HP 40%. And then removes all status conditions from your team, removes flinch trap conditions, confuse conditions from your team as well, and then charge move gauge by 6. So this is actually really, really nice. Gives you 6 move gauges and then gets rid of all status and afflictions from your team, right? And then also heals your team outside of yourself. It doesn't heal yourself, but it heals the rest of your team. So there's that, right? So yeah, grid, 2 out of 5 grid, honestly not that good. So I don't even know, what do you want for the rest? Just a few against stat nodes maybe here and there. Some speed, special defense maybe here and there. So yeah, that's unless you want like on a roll on Moonblast and you're willing to spend the extra bit of move gauge on that, right? Because again, it is pretty costly move gauge wise. So there's that. Again, it depends on your team. If you can afford it, then sure. But otherwise, anyways, 3 out of 5. Let's see, what do we have? We have Master Healer over here on Moonlight, catalyzing recovery, which gives you move gauge acceleration, right? Which is actually pretty nice when you heal. And you also have Sync Heal refill. So first time you use your sync, you get a refill on your Moonlight, so you could actually get 3 Moonlights instead of 2, which is, in my opinion, a massive W, right? So you do that, come up here, pick up Master Healer if you want, Catalyzing Recovery for the extra move gauge acceleration as well, right? All ramped up is situational if you really need it for your special, you know, teammates. Although again, it is pretty costly because you have to. This is what 17 over here, right? So you have to maybe drop something, maybe sync refill, which can, if that's the case, like if you have to, you know, you need someone on your team needs extra +2 special attack, then I guess you have to, right? Or maybe you just actually. Can you afford it if you... No, you can't afford it. Man, I don't know. Catalyzing cover is really, really good, though. Yeah, I guess you'll just drop sync refill, right? If you really need that extra special attack up for your team. But if you don't, then you obviously have a bit more options over here, right? Let's see what else we get. Honestly, not a huge fan of all these. Like, this one's okay, right? You get a free move next for your whole team. But it's only like once per battle. But I mean, it's still nice, I guess, right? This reduced sync move countdown. I don't really care unless you have someone else that on your team that that has like head start or something. So like, I guess theoretically, if you want to go here and pick up these two, right? You could like run head start on Cresselia, and then you shed actually you can't do that, right? Because turn 1, unless the opponent hits you to under 50% for only using one trainer move, right? Because you need to use it twice to get 6% of your HP away. So you need someone to hit 20% of your HP, and then you start 30%, then you Moonlight turn 2. And then you have your sync move up the next turn, right? Which obviously probably would be syncing with Cresselia over here, right? So I guess you can't really do that. I mean, again, you can. You just need the opponent to hit you really, really hard in this case, right? So, yeah, I guess you could do that. Again, it is slightly situational, but you know, otherwise, I really don't care about anything down here, right? It's just mainly the main things for me are honestly catalyzing recovery, sync refill, right? These are main good things on her. Endurance, if you're a bit scared, right, early on, getting, you know, knocked out or whatever, but. Master Healer is not that big of a deal. If you could find something else, you could use that extra energy on. You could easily drop Master Healer, but you know, if not, you could pick it up. Why? Because like, why not, right? But if you really don't need like any of that stuff, you could go for like sync regen, give yourself gradual healing over here, right? Adrenaline 1, so you get the quad Q stuff in there as well, right? Could be nice. So there's that, I guess, for Cresselia. These are what to run her with. Pretty standard, just like literally any special damage healer. Like she's just a good tank. Any special damage healer that doesn't need crit buffs, right? Unless you're running like another crit support alongside it, then okay. But yeah, just special damage healers, right? That you could run. Yeah, she's really, really nice, I'd say, for a gauntlet. So there's that, right, as defense support. So anyways, that's me on this one. I guess hope you all enjoyed. Guys, think in the comments down below. Like, share this video, subscribe to our channel for some more Palentines content. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one then.